Call this meeting of the Carthage City Council to order Tuesday, January 27th. Chief Martin, if you would please give us an invocation.
Yes, Your Honor. Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we thank you for our health and our ability to be here. We ask your blessing and comfort on those who may be suffering or in need. Father, examine our hearts and fill us with your wisdom so that the fruit of our efforts will bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Miranda, please call the roll.
Peterson.
Present.
Topete.
Present.
Cifuentes. West.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Thorne. Kane.
Present.
Snow.
Here.
Schramm. Here. Wells.
Here.
All right, as we get ready to start, I would like to acknowledge that we are joined this evening by our Eastern District Jasper County Commissioner, Jimmy Morris, recently appointed and is in the seat now, replacing my cousin. So if you haven't had a chance to meet him, please do so before he gets out of here tonight and see if you can get some work out of him on our behalf before we send him back over to the courthouse. So Jimmy, welcome. All right, I would entertain first of all, you've had a chance to look at the minutes from the previous meeting. Any comments, or if not, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the meetings, the January 13th meeting. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. All right, we have no proclamations or presentations for this evening, so we will move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the council, please step to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes. All right, since we have no one this evening wishing to make comments, we will move on to reports of standing committees. First one, Budget Ways and Means. Alan.
Yes, Budget Ways and Means Committee is currently between meetings. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is February 9th at 5:30. We have started officially the budget season, so look for the next meetings to be fairly productive in getting our budget all put together. I want to thank Miranda and Tracy for all the work that they do and have done up to this point. It's the hard part, then it gets harder from here. So that's all for tonight.
Thank you. Committee on Insurance, Audit, and Claims. Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Committee on Insurance, Audit, and Claims met this evening in council chambers. First item, we approved the claims for January 27th, which you all will have in front of you soon. Moving on, the committee approved the Delta Dental coverage for city employees for this year and renewed that. There was no change in the rate over last year to employees. And this is a benefit that the employee bears the full cost of themselves if chosen. So at this time, I'd make a motion to approve and renew the Delta Dental coverage for city employees for 2026.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the Delta Dental plan for city employees. Any comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
And the key item of our Claims Committee meeting was Ms. Baker, Rebecca Baker with KPM came and gave her audit report of the city. We received an unmodified and clean opinion, which is the North Star we're looking for. She stated there was no non-compliance, proficient internal controls, no weaknesses or deficiencies noted, and she had glowing comments for our city staff and its cooperation, which really is just Tracy, well, not really, but Tracy, Miranda, and Michael. Thanks for all your audit work.
Don't forget Dorothy.
And Dorothy, yes, Dorothy. It's a whole team effort, I know that. So ultimately, no dings, no areas of note. And I would at this time move that we accept the KPM audit for year end June 30, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the 2025 KPM audit. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Audit's accepted.
And that was the brunt of our substantive business. So that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Public Safety Committee. Alan.
Yes, the Public Safety Committee met here in council chambers last night due to our regularly scheduled meeting being on the holiday last week, MLK Day. So we had a few things on our agenda. First thing we heard from Megan Milliken was CWEP for the Tower to Tower run that they hold each year during Public Drinking Water Week. And so I just want everyone to put on their calendars now that Public Drinking Water Week will be May 3rd to the 9th this year. I know that's a highlight of everyone's year, the Public Drinking Water Week. In the hearing for Ms. Milligan, there was no action needed. Chief Deininger is going to work with her. There are no street closures or anything. It's kind of just work with the police department to kind of monitor traffic and make sure that all the runners stay safe. Next item we had on the agenda is the MoDOT HMV mini grant, and that is a grant that the police department has applied for, and the Department of Transportation will pay for our officers during certain times for specific campaigns like Click It or Ticket or drunk driving campaigns and those types of things to patrol and help make the streets safer. That's on the agenda tonight under Resolution 2109. The next thing on our agenda was the Violent Crime Prevention Grant, and this grant is part of, because we are part of the Blue Shield program with the governor, and it's on the agenda tonight under Resolution 2110. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that grant right now because I'm sure when we get to that resolution, we'll have ample time for a lot of discussion. Next item on the agenda was decommissioning some of our police vehicles and one taxi, and that's on the agenda tonight under Resolution 2111. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is February 16th at 5:30 here in council chambers.
It's a holiday.
I knew that was a holiday. It's President's Day. So we'll probably change that to the next Monday is what we normally do, is move it to the 23rd.
All right.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Services. Janet.
Public Services meeting was held last week. Roxana Willard from Jasper County Youth Fair informed the committee that during construction planning for the new poultry barn, the 4 trees were identified as unhealthy and she asked for removal. She had gone to the tree board and they said that it was fine. They approved the tree removal. It will not cost the city anything, and we gave her permission to remove those trees. And then we considered the baseball contract, which you will find in new business, CB 2602. And Richard Bonine had stated that the same contract is used for Little League youth baseball last year with 2 requested changes. And the changes that will be on that were the participant ages 4 through 16, and that the contract also include a minimum number of participants for each age bracket. And the second request change was to add provision of requiring that all signage and banners be approved by the Parks and Recreation Director or designated representative. Staff reports, Corey Curbs from the Golf Operations Assistant was here, and he introduced his new golf operations supervisor, Ethan Sage. Corey reported that December revenue for golf course exceeded that of the previous year due to favorable weather conditions, which he didn't knock on wood. Look what happened this week. So he advised that the Pro Shop is conducting a year-end closeout sale to move older inventory in preparation for new inventory arriving soon. Angie Judd reported that the handmade and vintage market is ongoing with vendor signups open through March. And Melissa Little presented the Civil War Museum report with attendance figures. She advised that an employee has submitted notice and an active job opening had been posted. And she stated she would be appearing on Living Well to promote Carthage events. Melissa reported that planning discussions for Red, White, and Boom have begun, and this year's event will include bull riding at the rodeo grounds. She also presented website analytics for the City of Carthage website. Our next meeting is February 17th. That's it.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Derek.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Works Committee is currently in between meetings, and our next will be next week on Tuesday, February 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now entertain reports from special committees and board liaisons. Janet.
Oh, you want to start with me? Okay. Vision Carthage, I attended their board meeting last Wednesday, and their main fundraiser is this Saturday, their Denim and Diamonds Casino Night at Memorial Hall, starting at 6:30 p.m. with cocktails, a live band, prizes, and raffle items. And the menu sounds wonderful. So if you have not gotten there, a ticket for this event, they're $35, and you can get those online. That's it.
Ron.
Yes, I attended the commissioners' meeting this morning with the mayor, and Jimmy kept me online here. But one of the things they had to vote on this morning was the property tax assessments. And it has to go on the ballot, or they had to vote on it today in order to get it on the ballot for April. It's also in court, judge contesting it, and if he rules against it, then they may have wasted. Well, if they get it taken care of soon enough, county won't waste $40,000, but if they don't, it costs county $40,000 to put this onto the ballot. It's not doing away. Don't think you're gonna get your property taxes done away with. This is just on the assessment portion that they have a cap. And the state has required that the citizens, all citizens, have to vote on this. Is that right, Jimmy?
Correct.
Did I miss anything up there?
Well done.
Okay. And that's all, your mayor.
Okay. Any other board or special commission? Derek.
Just very briefly, the Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation Commission met on Thursday, the 22nd. It wasn't a formal monthly meeting, but rather a work session where the commission continued to work through the historic guidelines. The Public Works Department, Julie and her counterparts have kind of been making edits, and then the commission says, yeah, we like that. And so just slogging through a lot of pages to see where these guidelines should or can be lessened as a burden to the homeowner where appropriate or where possible, kind of level that out. The Walker consultant guidelines were, they kind of wanted no gray area. So we're looking for areas to have some flexibility. So continuing to work through that. It's a slog, but moving well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Jack.
The CWP board met on the 15th, and as usual, lots and lots of stuff. But first of all, there was a proclamation for retirement of Harlan Block, who apparently was very instrumental in the recommissioning of the old hospital. And after 15 years, he decided to hang it up. So I thought that was nice. Then on the report of operations, the Power Services reported they were over budget, and this is due to where CWP buys their power. We have a contract with Sykeston, which is a coal-fired plant. It's running half power currently. Plum Point is a gas-fired, and they're still offline, maybe late March or late February, early March. Dogwood's gas-powered, and they have one unit up and one down. So the cost of power was higher than anticipated, plus, this is really kind of strange. Anyhow, we get credit. CWB gets credit for power that's generated. So it's kind of it's almost a zero-sum game. I mean, it can be. So from an accounting standpoint, you pay for the power, but yet you get a credit. So anyhow, that was that. Almost all of the directors were over budget. One thing with Water Services, they're going to spray, they have a new system, a spray-in coating for the manhole covers. And this will be done at, they're gonna do 170 to 180 manholes. This would bring up to 80% of the total manholes with a spray-in coating to keep from the rust and whatever else from that. I think that was really intriguing. It's gonna cost them $2,100 per manhole. The previous lining was $6,500. So they're gonna save a lot of money. There was a discussion regarding a new position. It's going to be called Utility Services Manager, which will be a combination of technical oversight, operational leadership, and revenue impacting services. So it's all going to be into one. And so Cassandra gave quite a detailed presentation on salary guidelines, how it works. They use Lockton, which is a national company, for determine salary ranges. And I asked the question, is this strictly Southwest Missouri? And they said, no, it's all utilities similar to Carthage all over the US. So that's how they determine the pay scale for all the employees, which I thought was kind of intriguing. And so essentially that's it. One other issue, the contract with the Southwest Water Association has not been received as to date. We remember we've discussed this several times. The original payment that they were going to have to pay to it's an insurance policy, $150,000, just to ensure that we have the right to take out so many acre feet of water out of Stockton Lake. That contract has not been issued at this point. However, the payment went from $150,000 to $80,000 to $100,000. It was reduced, and the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, will pay the Corps of Engineers, and we'll pay, or CWP will pay DNR. So it's quite a bit of, I mean, $50,000 or $70,000. That's per year, as opposed to $150,000. So I think that was good news. It will be good news. I don't know what the delay on the contract is, but it's forthcoming from the Corps of Engineers.
Is that it?
That's it.
Beth?
I almost forgot, there is a new organization emerging, which is the Downtown Alliance with Brooke, and I can't remember his last name, with Leonard out with Lathered Up. And there were probably 40 to 50 people at the first meeting that they had in December. and a lot of interest in sharing ideas and generating ways that they can partner and collaborate together to really make a focus on the square, and then also the building, the businesses that are down on the first block. And there was a lot of enthusiasm, and I think a lot of interest in looking at where they find themselves today in terms of trends, challenges, and opportunities that they have. And so they're going to be meeting once a month, and we'll have another meeting next Tuesday evening. And then in talking to individuals who'd attended the meeting, I think they had said that that was really the most enthusiasm that they felt like they had for working together for a long time. So it was very encouraging to see that kind of commitment, and I think we can be proud of that effort for sure as a community.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on then to my report. You've met Jimmy Morris. Again, if you haven't, please do so overnight. He and I had a chance to sit down the other day for almost 2 hours and talk about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities we've got across Carthage. So I think it'll be good to have a friend in court up there. Did have an opportunity to attend the CEDC board meeting again. And there is some activity going on with regard to the industrial park. Hopefully we'll have some good news in the future, but that team continues to work hard to make things happen. I also attended the CWEP board meeting, as did several of you. And again, that was well run and done well. MoDOT had hosted a kind of an open house community forum last week at the CWEP the center down there, and they laid out all of the plans for the Central Avenue upgrade with the and the anticipated project. And they entertained a lot of the businesses that front on Central that are going to be impacted as they get ready to start tearing stuff up. I think it was a very good meeting. I talked to about 4 or 5 of the different business owners to determine if they were satisfied with what they got out of the session, and to an individual, they were satisfied. They would have liked to heard that it was only going to take them Central out of tear it up for about a month, but what they heard is it's probably going to be out in about an 18-month time frame that Central will be torn up. But they certainly acknowledge the need and the desire to get it done as quickly as possible. And I think they were appreciative that MoDOT actually put themselves up there to answer questions, that sort of thing. So that went well. Derek mentioned we did have another working session with Planning and Zoning and Historic Preservation crew, and they're working through those historic guidelines as quickly as they can. We also, today, we hosted the Police and Fire Pension Fund meeting, which continues to go well, and that team is in place. There'll be a changeover later on this summer as some new members take over, but that's on track. For the council members, if you've heard several of them have already talked about, I'm meeting now along with Tracy and Alan based on their availability with the department heads, looking at some of our long-term strategic financing challenges. If you haven't had a chance to look at the audit that came down, you'll discover that, oh, by the way, we took in less than we spent, which is not a good situation going forward. So we've got some work to do there, and we got several programs which are very expensive that we got to take a hard look at and decide, do they need to be modified? Is there something we can do to make that going forward? And all of it will run to inform budget discussions later on that each of you and your various committees will have with the department head. So we're continuing to move down through that. Last thing I would say is I think that all the departments responded well this last weekend. Good news was we got snow essentially Friday night, allowing Tracy enough time to get down from Kansas City Airport before it started dumping. And then, of course, it did most of its snowing Saturday. So we had Sunday for DPW along with fire and police to get out there and make things happen. So we were able to open on time yesterday morning. So my hat's off to all of those employees, those city employees that were out there this weekend. It was a little bit chilly for some of them, and I understand that, but good on you. Glad we got that taken care of. And that completes my report for this evening. So we will now move on to council members. And Derek, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have much tonight. There was only one thing weighing on my mind. Our last meeting, I guess that's 2 weeks ago, was Chief Deininger's first meeting as chief. And in the bathroom before the meeting, I inadvertently said officer, and it's been tearing me up since. So I had to let the record reflect that that won't occur again. Chief, that's all. Thanks, Your Honor.
Juan?
I have nothing to report, Your Honor.
All right. Ray?
I also want to thank all the folks that worked on the snow removal. They did a really good job. One little complaint, not a complaint, I'm just kidding. When they went down my street, they only made one pass, and they went on the east side of the street, and nobody lives there. They didn't go over where the driveways are, but that's okay. You did a wonderful job.
Jack?
I want to echo that.
You echo they only went down one side of your street?
No, snow is about this deep right by my car. So, but what I mentioned was that the duality of the trucks. It was a truck went through, and maybe 100 yards behind it, he was over one lane, and that's how they went down Main Street. And I think, and he said, well, the streets are so wide that instead of just one truck, they did that in tandem, and it was really beautiful. I mean, everything's clear. Side streets aren't clear, but they weren't expected to be. But the main streets, clear, beautiful.
Beth?
Okay, well, again, thank you for the streets, because our street is cleaned, so I'm happy. And the people in the block are happy, so that's good. I also attended the CWP meeting along with Councilwoman Schramm, the mayor, and with Councilman Perkins. So I always find that very interesting, because utilities are my sweet spot, so I enjoy keeping up with that profession and how well run they really are, and it's really nationally recognized. So there's just hands down no doubt about it. I also went to the public meeting with MoDOT to look at the layout of the plans, and we did mention, several of us, about the median at 49 across from Arby's, that could use some attention if they were so interested in looking at that, in terms of really what we would want for a welcoming entrance into the city. And also, I think Jackie Boyer mentioned to them about the crossroads for the Jefferson Highway and Route 6, the highway at Central and Garrison, where the Crossroads of America meets, and maybe doing something there. Now, that if we don't at least get our preferences put into the discussion, they'll get bypassed. So hopefully there'll be something that will be workable that way, with other partnerships like through Vision Carthage, etc. That's really all I have, but I just want to, again, to thank everybody that had a part in being out in the weather, because I know that made it possible for some of the rest of us to be warm and cozy, and it does not go unnoticed. So thank you, and welcome to our meeting. So thank you.
Alan?
So I'd like to thank Jimmy for coming. I believe this is the first time I've ever seen one of the commissioners come to one of our council meetings. So I want to thank Jimmy for that. I want to take a moment. Last Thursday, a former city employee, a former CWP employee, a former councilman, and a former member of multiple committees for the city passed away. Jim Swatzenberger was a good guy. Knew Jim. He never seemed to raise his voice. When Jim spoke, you always wanted to listen closely, because his words of wisdom were very meaningful. So we're going to miss Jim, but I know that he is in heaven right now and looking down going, man, I'm glad I'm not in Carthage only because it's so cold. Jim was a transplant here to Carthage, but he really came in and became one of us, or one of the people of the town, and made a big impact, so he will be missed. The next thing, Jenny,
Oh, no.
you love being involved in so many things, and I'm so excited to hear about this bull riding for 4th of July. Are you gonna put your boots on and get on one of those bulls?
You wait and see. TBD.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Jana?
I also attended the CWP board meeting, January 15th. I try to make it to each of those board meetings each month, or every month. There's a lot of information shared, and since it's such a big factor in our community, I feel like as a council person, we should be involved and know what's happening and how well-run that organization is. And we also, Beth Kang and I met with Melissa Little and Jeff Meredith at the Quality Inn for a tour with the new owner and general manager to see the improvements being made. And they are making such improvements there and working with the police department on crime and cleaning that area up. When you walk in the lobby, it looks like a different hotel. So we'll be proud very soon to send people there, and it's going to be a good thing for tourism. I attended the preservation workshop last week also. They're reviewing, how many pages is that? 192-page document, Derek, that
Yeah.
Julie Tilley is going through diligently,
Enormous.
line by line, making sure every word is correct. Josh Anderson is the chair of that committee, and he works a lot of hours trying to get that document right and to be the best, in the best interest of the community and with the historic guidelines. And Josiah is also very good. He's fully vested in making sure that the programs we want to bring forward in the zoning, the requirements on permits are something that his staff can handle and make sense. So thank you so much. I attended the MoDOT meeting last week, and I'm not sure if you said that with the Highway 40 or 96, the corridor upgrades, that it starts at the exchange on the bridge at Highway 49 and goes to Garrison Avenue. Bids went out, will go out in May, they'll be accepted in June, and construction is going to start in July and will take about 18 months. And CWP will take advantage of the opportunity to lay new water mains and water mains and electrical trunks when that road is opened up. I just got back today. Julie from the Chamber of Commerce had a workshop in AI at the CWP community room, and it was using AI in answering calls for your business. And she set this up for free for business owners, and she's always doing something to promote small business in our community. So I wanted to thank Julie for that. It was very informative. That's it.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Jimmy, glad you come down, accepted the mayor's invitation. I hope you'll come back more often. We have a lot in common, city and the county. Second, they just finally got around to getting down Maple Street, Josiah, this morning. But, and I don't know if we can do anything about this, but I have a recommendation. In Iowa, especially in Des Moines, when they anticipate large amounts of snow, they have signs out on their streets telling people not to park their cars out on the curb. That allows the snow trucks to be able to go through and clean, instead of when you go down Grant, Garrison, what have you, the truck's gotta go in and out like this, trying to get all that snow off the streets. And if we can look at that and possibly see if there's something that can be done, to encourage the public to remove, I pulled my car up into my yard, even though it ain't supposed to be in the yard, for the snow truck to be able to go down through there and clean the street. We were lucky, we only got, depends on where you're at, 4 to 5 inches of snow. They were protecting that we could get anywhere from 14 to a foot of snow. Imagine if we'd have got that much snow, we'd still be trying to clean it up. But it is very helpful, especially in Des Moines, Iowa, where the traffic or the cars are off the street so that the trucks can get down through there, get it cleaned up quick, and get on with the business, and then we have capability of getting out of our driveways and what have you, and on to going to work or whatever you need to do. But that's something I think the council, I guess maybe as a whole, might need to look at if we can do something like that. And that's all, Your Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to reports of the officers of the city. Josiah, we're going to start with you, even though you're glowing in the adulation that everyone's heaping on you. I would remind you that people ask me, what about the leaves that are under the snow that didn't get picked up yet? So,
They'll be back. No, we are still picking up leaves. Obviously, the snow's got to go away before we can see the leaves again. But if, they're currently nearly complete on the leaf route. So I would encourage anybody, if you do have any leaves that are still there, once this snow melts, get a hold of us. We'll get them out here, get the guys out there and get them picked up. But it is drawing close to the end of the leaf season.
Don't they have to dry up before you can pick them up?
We are capable, we can pick them up wet. When they're frozen, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So, they need to be able to come apart before the machine will actually vacuum those away. So,
how much leaf pickup was remaining before the snow got here?
very little. So I would say we were already kind of, as we took in phone calls to Public Works office, we were already targeting some of those phone calls and sending a crew to hit those spots.
Okay.
So we were really close to making our final pass all the way through.
Okay.
It's near complete. But once again, if anybody's out there has any leaves, give us a call down to the Public Works office, talk to Rachel. She'll get you on a list. We'll get your leaves and get you taken care of. As far as the snow, I thought the guys did an exceptional job thus far. They're short-staffed, so to speak, and we've got some of the staff members are relatively new. One gentleman we just hired last week. He's from the San Francisco area, and he moved over here to Carthage, and I'm not sure if he'd even really been around snow much. So he was wearing tennis shoes, and I said, we got to get you some work boots, man. This is could be kind of rough. But no, he's learning already, hopping in there with the guys, seeing what it's like plowing a road, and so we're excited about Angel getting him in there and plugged into the group of guys. But no, all in all, we didn't have too many catastrophes. We had only one thing that's going to cost us a little bit of money to repair. No other vehicle was involved, so all in all, that was a relatively cheap snowstorm for us as far as tearing things up. And usually there's always something that it's inevitable. You're going to break things when you're trying to plow these roadways and stuff, but the guys did a good job, went slow, took care of their equipment really well. So all went well.
Josiah?
Yes, sir.
So I noticed that they got the snow picked up off the square today.
Yes,
how was it with the bump outs now, cleaning the snow around the square?
So it took one extra guy just to bring the smaller piece of equipment up to get it around the bump outs to get the snow out. Once we got that snow out, we were able to take the normal equipment we have here and shove everything to the inside. And once he was done with that, he was able to move on to the other parking lots. So it was not as bad as we had anticipated, or I think the guys were kind of dreading that. But by removing those inside bump outs and making that decision, it still allowed us to pile all the snow, and nearly all of it's hauled off the square already. So the guys worked on that most of the day today, getting all the snow off the square. So it really was beneficial still having a place to pile that snow.
Okay, Janet?
Oh, Josiah, I enjoyed the videos from the snowplows. I thought that was a lot of fun for everybody to see.
Yeah,
So keep that up. I think it's really a good thing.
I have to give kudos to Melissa on that.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of initiated some of
Yeah.
that, and when we're in the middle of kind of
Right,
organizing that, that's kind of the last thing you're thinking about.
We need
And-
a webcam on that.
Yeah, that worked great, and it's
Dash
fun
cam.
sitting in the driver's seat
Yeah.
and seeing what these guys are seeing. It's a different world up there, and those plows are heavy, and you've got a lot of weight in those pieces of equipment, and it can be very dangerous. So they do have a lot of responsibility when they're sitting behind that wheel for several hours in a row. I mean, they work quite a bit, but.
And one more thing, can I ride on it next time?
We'll give you a call.
Right.
Hopefully we get no more snow this year though, so I'm hoping it's done. Moving on, I did attend the Levy District #1 board meeting. This last week, we did not have enough quorum, but we were able to at least talk about kind of what needs to be done and taking place there. So our next meeting will be February 5th. I believe we're going to have that at the courthouse, and some of the commissioners are going to be there and involved so they can get the board filled back up, because those are positions I believe that are appointed by the commissioner. So we can get that filled back up. I'm going to attend and try to do everything I can on behalf of the city to try to help get these levies certified. You know, we need to make sure that that's recognized, and that affects the floodplain maps and for the SEMA maps, and affects insurance rates and stuff like that. So we need to get that certified, and then we can keep some of those businesses down there very happy, and the people that live there. Nobody wants to pay more than they need to, so we'll work towards that. I did want to mention the Fur Road Garrison traffic signal. It came on, it all flashed red. I made a phone call to try to get that figured out, because I would have thought in my mind we would want to keep Fur Road flashing yellow to keep traffic flowing. Due to MoDOT standards and their reasonings as to why they want it to flash red is because people don't pay attention. Whenever you got a yellow flashing light, you might slow down. You don't really, by flashing all directions red, it gets people to stopping and makes them aware that there is a traffic signal there from this point moving forward. So that had to go for 14 days. So we've got till next Thursday. Then that light will begin to function as it is designed to. So just so everybody's aware that that's the reasoning as to why it's flashing red. One thing I wanted to touch on that I don't know if we've really mentioned on the Central Street MoDOT project. Me and Tracy met with some of the MoDOT representatives early on in this project, and they are working with us. So they will begin this project on the western portion of this project and work their way in towards Garrison. By doing so, it will actually kind of hold back that work, so to speak, so that the old 66 tourism, because next year being 100 years, that will kind of delay some of that and not interfere with those tourists that are coming through town all next year. So hopefully that'll help them stay out of their way. They can come and visit Carthage and get through town without too much distraction, so to speak. So just kind of wanted to make a note of that too.
Anything else? Richard?
Thank you, sir. The cold weather has pretty much impacted everybody, including the Parks and Recreation. We were able to reschedule all the events that were due at Memorial Hall this past weekend, so nothing got canceled. It was just rescheduled. In addition, we've been checking on our winterization skills, and so far so good. We haven't had any pipes broke or anything like that, so that's good news. Staff's been doing good there, helping out with some snow removal, not as much as the man here, but we did have one employee, Chad, who's been working really hard in the association. He's one of their previous employees that I stole. I can't really take credit for it. He was already here when I got here, but he's a good cat, and he likes to help wherever he can. So I just wanted to give him a heads up if he's listening. On the opposite end, the golf crew talked to me today, and they know they're not going to get a heads up because they haven't had anybody out there the last couple of days because they've got that much snow. So we had a really good response last month, but now things are slowing down because of the weather. So just to let everybody know that. And other than that, we're just doing starting up on our budget work and doing indoor repairs and prepping for spring, because that's gonna be here before we know it. Also, thanks for giving the heads up about the 4th of July. It will be at Municipal Park. It's gonna be a huge party. Everybody's invited, and I'm gonna hit that every meeting. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. 4th of July, Municipal Park, be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason?
Prior to tonight's meeting, I was threatened by the mayor that I would have to do push-ups if I didn't speak into the mic. So if you're not used to hearing my voice and you're hearing it tonight, I guess don't send any complaints, because I don't need to do any push-ups. But We have several guys going to winter fire school next weekend. There's some hazmat classes and leadership stuff that we're sending some of our younger guys to. We're also currently doing an in-house fire instructor class for a lot of our guys. That's a prerequisite to most of the classes that they'll take going forward, as far as officer classes, investigation classes, inspection classes. You have to be an instructor before you can take or get credit for any of those others. So, and we also have a tremendously talented young man that is a high school senior this year, was the nose tackle on the football team, Steve Sirius, and he is, we've worked it out with the school where a couple days a week he goes to Webb City, where we work with Webb City Fire in a Fire 1 and 2 academy. So Steve will be a certified firefighter by the time he graduates high school, and he's going to do some military time, and when he comes back, he's going to go to work for us. Fantastic young man, kudos to him, and glad we could work with the school and get that accomplished. I've also requested to host a weather spotter class from National Weather Service. Steve Runnels hasn't gotten back to me yet on an official date. We had to submit several dates, and when they let us know what that date's going to be, we'll make sure all the departments are invited and to participate if they choose to, and any extra seats will open up for interested council members or citizens. So depending on how many people they want in the class, we'll base it off of that. We want as many of our guys to participate as possible because we do a lot of the storm watch stuff. We're trying to get the batteries delivered to update all of our storm sirens. We have to do that manually. There's 4 batteries in each site, so they've been ordered, but we haven't received them yet. And we'll be going around doing that and checking all the electric in the boxes, making sure everything functions right going into storm season. And I believe that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Chad?
We hired a new officer last week. His name is Grant Lavelle. He started Thursday, and he's in the field training program. Started that, I believe, yesterday, the day before. Been yesterday, I think. So we welcome him aboard. He's got experience, so he brings a lot to the table. So I'm excited to see what he can do here at the Carthage Police Department. We also we also performed interviews for the training lieutenant position. We conducted those today. I appreciate everybody that came on the board and did those interviews with us, and then we'll make that announcement whenever that person is selected, once we review the rest of the stuff that we wrote down. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Tracy?
Thank you. I just want to remind council members that the month of February, the department heads will be providing reports on capital projects to each committee, to their respective committees. So it's important, and this is your opportunity. If you have questions about projects that they think are important, maybe you don't, maybe you disagree with them or something, it's your opportunity to speak up on those projects. So next month is very important, and I know that a lot of times you don't understand your role on the committee, but you do have the opportunity to speak on those projects. That's your time during those committees meetings. So please make sure you attend. And also regards to notice. So, and also Josiah was bragging on how easy the snow removal went this time. You did not knock on wood. So please, that's better. We do have amazing staff that did a great job in clearing the streets, and I also want to thank City Hall staff. The audit is definitely not an easy task. Prior to them coming on site to do the week, they're here for a week. We upload several documents. That takes a lot of time. And during that week, staff is not allowed to take off because we can't handle the workload currently as it is. So that's a lot of dedication, and we're very fortunate to have the staff that works hard during that week. So that's all. Thank you.
John?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
All right, moving on now. We'll move to report of claims presented against the city.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $498,685.23.
I move that we accept the January 27th claims report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the January claims report. Any discussion? Janet?
Now, I'm sorry, I didn't make it for the meeting prior. What was the 35,000 for the golf course? That's kind of a large one.
I'd have to look back here. Where did I just put that?
I believe there was our first lease payment for the pump house.
Okay.
That was about 11,000 of it, and I assume a chunk of the rest was most likely for chemicals.
Okay.
Would be my guess. Or
It was just
retail.
bigger than usual without a project, a major project, so.
Yeah, the lease payment was about 10.5, 10.6, something like that.
Okay, thank you, Miranda.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted. All right. We have no public hearings tonight. Old business. Miranda?
The second reading of Council Bill 2601, an ordinance amending the annual operating and capital budget of the City of Carthage for fiscal year 2025-2026 for specified funds, the General Revenue Fund and the Civic Enhancement Fund.
Any discussion? Cast your votes. Council bill passes. New business, Miranda. Good thing you weren't clearing the snow for us this weekend. Might take longer.
The computer's cold. Anywho, the first reading of Council Bill 2602, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Carthage Little League for non-exclusive use of the baseball fields at the Fair Acres Sports Complex during the summer of 2026 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
Yes. Again, we went over the guidelines for the Little League to, is that what we're on? I'm sorry. Yeah. The Little League to have the contract this year, and Richard did put in there that what was the minimum number before the league was started. And we did open it up again this year to up to 16-year-olds if there is enough players. And Richard graciously offered to coach that team, so.
Alan?
So I was looking through the contract, and I did have one question for Richard. There are a couple of times in the contract it mentions the city youth sports liaison. Is that a position that you have created, or who is filling that position? Is that you?
Currently, that's me, correct.
Oh, okay, that was my question.
We just didn't want to name it Public Works Director in case we are able to hire another position, so.
Okay, that was my only question.
That's me.
I did see the age groups with the 13 to 16-year-olds, and the 39 is a pretty high minimum, you know, when you get to those age groups. So hopefully they'll get those kids. But I was glad to see that in there this year also. Thank you.
Jack?
I was kind of whining on this issue when he changed the wording to include 16-year-olds. I'm still against it. However, I grudgingly voted yes, but it seems to me like Little League charter is 8 to 13. And I don't know where the 16-year-old stuff came from. As far as putting it in as the Little League, it should be, we used to have Pony League and, you know, other stuff here for those that age groups. But, I mean, it makes no sense to have 16-year-olds playing on a on a Little League field. I mean, that's what I interpreted this whole thing to be. Anyway.
Now,
Well, Jack, I think this contract is for the use of the fields at Fair Acres. And there is a field down there that is sized for 13 to 16-year-olds. And this group that call themselves Carthage Youth Baseball is affiliated with Little League, but they are running all of our Carthage Youth Baseball program. And so I think by having that in there, they are being asked to provide programming for those 13 to 16-year-old kids also.
I agree that should be the case. However, you can't put them in the same sentence as Little League. That's my complaint. It's got to be some other verbiage for that age group. And there was never any discussion about the fields that were actually going to be played on that I recall. There was no discussion. I interpreted it to mean they were going to play on a Little League field, which is, not real smart on my part, but, not having to discuss that. Okay, I understand there's fields down there they can play on, but that was never brought up in this total discussion, so. I think it should be changed. The charter, the Little League charter is very specific. And Richard said, yes, this Little League is a part of the National Little League charter, which you wouldn't include 13 to 16-year-olds as part of the Little League. So that's my.
okay, thank you.
We can look at the language on that. If you say that Little League is 8 to 13, because isn't it younger than the 8 as well? It's not, it starts at 8?
But then again, they're doing T-ball at 4, so.
That's what I
Yes.
was,
Right.
because they're including that too.
Yes.
So we could possibly change the language in that to add, just to separate it. We'll look at the language of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm confused too, because I thought the group that is running it is Carthage Youth Baseball, who affiliates with Little League, but only for those Little League ages, because they run T-ball and they're gonna run I thought that was, I didn't think they called themselves Carthage Little League. I thought they called themselves Carthage Youth Baseball.
We'll look into it.
Any other discussion?
Do we
Ron?
ever use the ballparks down in the municipal park that we maintain down there? Are they being used for anything?
Currently, they have one team that's practicing as well as renovating the fields. We don't have an official agreement with that team yet, but yeah, they are used.
Okay.
The gentleman that's operating that field is Salazar. He gave a presentation here a couple of months ago about what he wanted to do. It's a voluntary deal. He's taking care of the field. He's done a lot on the field, and actually wants to go down to the softball field on the south side. He wants to do something with that field also.
I just never, that's the one
Is
where
that
we
the one
tore
you-
down the stadium, but I'm talking about the other one that's down there by the
They have
arena.
softball.
And I've never seen anybody down there using it ever whenever.
Well,
I
they used to
drive
have,
through the park.
that used to be where they played slow pitch softball. Actually, it was a co-ed league
Okay.
that played there probably until, 3 years ago, maybe?
I think they still do. but
Yeah,
from time to
occasionally,
time, yeah.
but it's like pickup, but
Yeah.
this was an actual co-ed league that played on that softball field.
But it is getting used, that's
Well,
question.
not now. I mean, other than that guy and those two big dogs, that's where he runs his team.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, moving on. We have no appointments for this evening, so we'll move on to,
There's care leave.
oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. We do have one.
The mayor's appointment of Eric Miller and Angie Judd until August 2026, and the reappointment of Morgan Hausch until December 2027 to the Care Leave Committee.
Do you need a motion to accept?
Yes.
Yes, I make a motion to accept.
Oh, go ahead. I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the nominations for the Care Leave Committee. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion passes. Now we're ready to move on to resolutions. First resolution, Miranda?
Resolution 2109, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the Missouri Department of Transportation hazardous moving violations mini grant for the Carthage Police Department.
Any discussion? Alan?
I move we adopt resolution 2109.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to adopt resolution 2109. Any discussion? Alan?
So this is one of the grants that I spoke about, that we talked about last night at our Public Safety Committee meeting. And I don't know if everyone saw this information in the packet. So there are different major campaigns that MoDOT has for this program, and our officers will sign up, volunteer to work overtime, and that overtime will be reimbursed to the city for these particular campaigns. Chief Deininger, if you would, talk a little bit about some of the requirements that they have on this overtime. It's not just, I'm gonna work the overtime and I'm gonna go sit in my car and watch traffic. So if you would, Chief.
Yeah, so these grants have been going on for many, many years. I'd probably estimate over 30. They're very highly focused on hazardous moving violations, just for the safety of the citizens, to reduce speed, stop sign violations. And once that stop is made, usually for, whether it be failed to signal or something like that, they go further into the stop and look for child restraint violations and seatbelt violations. Some of the campaigns are specifically targeted to DWI driving. They try to do those around times of holidays and things like that we tend to have higher amounts of DWIs that come in. If you see on there, one of them is on 420, which is going to be for impaired driving of impairment of marijuana. So they target these specific times, and we go all over the city to do this. Those officers are dedicated for the sole purpose of doing hazardous moving violations, where they're not going to be dedicated to answering calls for service. Our crew will still be out there doing that same thing as they do every day. This will be in addition to, and it's for certain hours during the day that they'll sign up for.
Thank you, Chief. So I just wanted Chief to kind of explain a little bit about this program. It's been ongoing. The city has taken part in it before. So I would recommend we pass resolution 2109.
Any other discussion? All right, cast your vote. Resolution is passed. Next resolution, Miranda.
Resolution 2110, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the Missouri Department of Public Safety Local Violent Crime Prevention Grant for the Carthage Police Department.
Any discussion? Alan?
I move we adopt resolution 2110.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to adopt resolution 2110. Any discussion? Alan?
So we did have quite a few questions and answers last night to this, and these cameras aren't like what you see on TV on the crime shows. These cameras are set up, they're static, they're stationary cameras that take pictures of vehicles. So they're not using this camera to track someone or follow someone through town. It's part of a system, and I'm gonna let Chief Deininger talk about that system that we're already currently using, but it gives us a couple more cameras. So Chief, if you would.
Yeah, so this camera is called the Flock camera, which is the company. These cameras are utilized all over the United States at the moment, and we currently utilize one as well. What this camera does is take a picture of vehicles and their license plate as they pass by the camera, and it's just a photo. That photo is uploaded into a database temporarily before it's deleted, and what that does is it gives law enforcement the ability to investigate crimes at a much faster pace than what we would be able to without it. Some examples that we have is, we've had a hit and run accident here in town a few years ago with serious injuries. By utilizing Flock, we were able to track down that suspect within hours and make the arrest. It's examples like that that'll give us the tools necessary to investigate crimes.
Alan?
So another example that Chief gave us last night was like an Amber Alert. They can put in a license plate number into this system and it will search the entire country. All the agencies that use these cameras, it can search and identify whether they've spotted one of that license plate through one of their intersections. And that will help lead to recovering a missing child or recovering someone if there's an Amber Alert. Give some of the other examples.
Yeah, I was just going to give an example. This wasn't an Amber Alert. However, we'd probably consider it a Silver Alert. To be actually qualified for a Silver Alert, they have to be of a certain age. And we have to have reason to believe that they might have dementia or something like that. We did have a missing person that we feared was in a crisis situation where she might commit suicide. We got called by the family. It definitely wasn't a normal, I'm just going to the store, not coming back. She had made steps, took steps to do that. Through using the Flock camera, we were able to identify her vehicle over in Joplin, which led our investigators over to Joplin, where we started canvassing areas, pulling other video from convenience stores and things like that, where we did track her down, and she had already checked herself into a facility for treatment. But that is just one thing that we were able to do in just a few hours by utilizing Flock. We also have, the Amber Alerts come out all over the place. We get those alerts. The agency that is announcing that alert will enter the tag number if they have it into the system, and if a Flock camera anywhere in the United States picks up that tag number, it alerts the law enforcement officers in that area immediately so they can start trying to locate that vehicle.
Alan?
So that's a little bit about, this is a tool that our police department can use to fight crime, to find missing persons and things like that. We also had a lot of discussion last night. There's recently been a news story about a local department that had some abuse of this system. And Chief, if you would address that a little bit, how you plan on addressing that within your department and to prevent those types of
Yes, thank you.
abuse.
We're in the process of creating a policy, and this policy is going to dictate when the device can be used, how it can be used, and it will then also track. So the way it works is you sign onto a platform, a Flock platform, and you have your own identification, user ID, and password that allow an individual user to access. Once they access the platform, they will then ask to be, what kind of search do they want it to make? That you can do tag numbers, vehicle descriptions, even if we have a logo in the back of one, whether it be Ford or whatever, we can enter that in the system, and then it'll ask the officer, what is the reason you were asking for this search to be done? And you're gonna have a selection box of an investigation, a missing person, narcotics investigation, and it is not meant for, I'm just curious, and that's the way the system is set up. Our policy will dictate that you will follow that process, and then obviously we're going to audit the use of that by our members frequently throughout the year to ensure that somebody isn't using it for personal gain. We have a lot of individual information systems that we use that have much language, much like we're going to put into this policy. Some of them have state law that are attached to them, Mules and NCIC. If you misuse it other than law enforcement purposes, NCIC and Mules, it's actually against the law. However, this isn't attached to the law, the state law. However, it's attached to our policy, and we'll hold our officers accountable to that. It is going to not be a secret. It's going to be audited, and it'll be very vocal, all the way down to the line officers about misuse of this. It's an extremely valuable tool that I feel is very important for the safety of the citizens and our quick apprehension of suspects.
Thank you, Chief. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Janet?
Okay, I talked to Chief today about this, and he knows my concerns, so I just want to voice my concerns with this system. I feel this is from a grant, and I feel like nothing is really free. I think that this information that the system will be gathering is for somebody's purpose. Flock system, because of the recent publicity of the abuse of Flock in Joplin, I'd like to formally raise constitutional, legal, and civil liberty concerns regarding the proposed purchase and deployment of Flock safety automatic license plate reader cameras within our town. While public safety is legitimate and an important goal, it is the responsibility of this council to ensure that any surveillance technology adopted by the town complies with constitutional protection, does not expose the town to legal liabilities, does not disproportionately harm vulnerable communities, and includes meaningful safeguards, oversight, and accountability. The first thing that comes into play is the Fourth Amendment, which is privacy and electronic surveillance. And this is a shift to observe, to continue from observation to continuous tracking. Historically, courts have allowed police to observe license plates visible in public. However, Flock systems do more than a casual observation. They operate continuously 24/7. They capture every vehicle regardless of suspicion. They store historical data or location data and allow retroactive searches of an individual's movement. This transformed public roads into permanent surveillance network capable of reconstructing a person's movements over days, weeks, and months. There's emerging legal risk. Recent legal challenges argue that long-term automated location tracking constitutes a search under the Fourth Amendment. Aggregated vehicle location data reveals intimate details of a person's life, work, home, religious activities, medical visits, and political activity. That depends on where the camera is set up. Courts have increasingly recognized the scale and duration of tracking matters, even when individual data point is collected in public. This reasoning has already been applied by courts in GPS and cell location data. Now it is being extended to license plate reader systems like Flock. The risk to the town. If courts continue this trend, warrantless use of Flock cameras could later be ruled unconstitutional and expose our town to suppressed evidence, civil rights lawsuits, costly settlements, and policy reversals. The First Amendment and freedom of association risk is next. Flock cameras can be used intentionally or unintentionally to identify vehicles traveling to protests and demonstrations, religious institutions, political meetings, and community organized events. Even with the direct misuse, the existence of the system creates concerns, discouraging residents from exercising constitutionally protected rights due to fear of being tracked and cataloged. This concern is especially serious in small towns where travel patterns are easily identified, fewer vehicles make re-identification simpler, and social and political activities are more visible. And then impact on our community, disproportionate harm, fear of data that could be shared beyond local control, fear of indirect cooperation with government agencies. If the current policy prohibits targeting, policies can change. Data can be shared. Future administrations can reinterpret access rules. No matter how strict our policies, and I believe we would have strict policies, that doesn't overlie another jurisdiction or another agency. Even if we can give approval by jurisdiction, which I'm not sure we can, I think once it's in the system, it's available to that agency. Then they may change their policies once that's in place, and we have nothing to do with it. It's not Carthage's data at that point. It's whoever subscribes to this system. So whatever our controls in are become meaningless at that point. They can be shared beyond our town. The Flock system allows sharing within neighborhood jurisdiction, regional and multi-agency access, requests from outside law enforcement agencies, and you have to share the license plate reader data within the contract to the National Incident-Based Recording System. Once the data leaves our town's direct control, local promises to residents may no longer apply. If there is a data breach or inappropriate use of data, it will undermine public trust. Next is the risk of misuse and abuse, as we have seen in Joplin recently. Documented issues with this system are nationwide and include searches conducted without active investigations, personal and curiosity-based searches by authorized users, monitoring of individuals not suspected of crimes, use for minor or non-criminal purchases. Misuse is possible whether the system is designed to prevent it or not. Lack of oversight. Right now, the key concerns are who will exactly have access to the data, what level of suspicion is required to run a search. Just an investigation seems pretty general to me. Anybody could put investigation. How long is data retained and why? Who audits the searches and how often? What penalties exist for misuse? Will residents be notified of errors and wrongful tracking? Without independent oversight and enforceable penalties, internal policies alone are not sufficient. There's a few questions that may be answered, that need to be answered before approving the funds from my side. Will the warrant or documented probable cause be required for historical searches? What explicit bans will exist on tracking protest, religious sites, or political activity? Can data be shared with outside agencies and under what condition? What protections exist for all residents and visitors? How long is data retained and how can it be shortened? Who conducts audits and will audits results be public? What is the town's legal liability if courts later rule this practice unconstitutional? Is there a subscription price included in this? So I'm going to conclude this with public safety should never require sacrificing constitutional rights or community trust. There's unresolved constitutional questions, the legal and financial risk to the town, and the lack of demonstrated necessity at this scale. So I believe that the purchase of the flock safety cameras requires significantly more scrutiny, public input, and legal analysis before we proceed. And this, again, has nothing to do with our local system whatsoever. It's this program and the software itself and how it can be misused. So in this essence, I will be voting no at this time for this.
I have a question.
Jack.
Who wrote that?
I pulled it offline on all the internet.
Who wrote it? Who was the author? Do you know?
I use multiple sources to bring together all this information.
Ron.
Is this one fixed camera, or is that gonna be more than one fixed camera around town?
We're asking for two with the grant. Be two fixed cameras.
Well, based off the information she just read, and I have no doubt Jan done a thorough investigation, I could not support this at this time.
Juan.
Also wanted to add that the cameras aren't ours. The grant will allow us to have them for 4 years, correct? Correct. So technically if laws change or we decide that, hey, this isn't for us at that time, we can just not apply for the grant again and then we don't have the cameras. But you know, from what was explained to us, it was a great tool. Anything that can help curb crime, I think we should definitely consider it. I definitely understand the concerns, but there'll be concerns with any tools, right? It can be misused, but that's where we put our trust in our elected officials and in our police chiefs and our police departments across the nation.
But you said earlier, there's a time limit, correct? I mean, it's not there for perpetuity.
2 weeks is data every 30 days.
30.
Yes.
It's not any different than going down the turnpike. You know, those are flock cameras up there.
Correct.
You know, they take a snapshot and they send you a bill. How long do they keep that?
These cameras are used all over the United States. There is a map of where these cameras are located that you can view yourself. I went to a couple of agencies today just to look at their transparency policies and things like that. Flock has what's called the transparency portal. You can click on the agency's transparency portal, and then you can see yourself the use of that camera, how many cars it caught, how many times it was searched. And that's really what we're after here, in my opinion, on the misuse part of it, is, you know, the way we audit it is we audit individual users. You know, how many times an individual user ran one tag. And then that is my job, to make sure to question when somebody's tag is being ran multiple times. And that's literally a query of what report are you working on, what crime has been committed, and why are you running this tag. Just like any other, you know, abuse of authority, it starts with communication to make sure that the abuse is actually occurring. And then, you know, if discipline is appropriate, that's what will happen. But looking at other agencies who have had these for many, many years, we've actually used ours for a year. We did our own audit and saw no issues at all. We are a smaller agency, so our user amount is less than a lot of these other larger agencies that have, so it makes us a little bit easier to put a finger on an individual because we just have less individuals using it.
Where are the cameras? In units?
I publicly don't want to say. Just
No, I mean, are they fixed right now?
Yeah, they're fixed on a pole.
Okay.
So, you have these already?
We don't own them. We utilize other agencies at this current time.
Okay, and so then what is the recourse if and I don't even know how an individual would know or have a concern, where do they bring that concern? I mean, if let's say I'm driving and I think that I'm in the system and I've got a concern, where do I go? To you or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what your concern would be. I mean, there's probably a little bit more to that story, but so I mean, if you are concerned that your tag has been ran multiple times, then just like any other complaint, you would contact, you know, the police department and make that appropriate complaint. Hey, I think I'm being stalked by an officer or whatever. Then we would work that as an internal, you know, affairs investigation to see if that is accurate.
How do you determine which plate to take a picture of, or do you take a picture of every plate?
We don't take the picture. The camera takes one.
I'm saying the camera itself.
Every car.
Every car.
Every car.
Okay, and that's stored for 30 days.
Correct.
And so, how do you act on a potential crime or criminal or whatever? If you take a picture of every license plate, how then do you determine which one you're gonna investigate?
I'll give you an example of the last one that I know that we use this. The hit and run accident on Baker Street. That suspect fled the scene. We then started going down the roadway, checking all ring cameras, checking business cameras, and we were able to capture an image of that vehicle on a ring camera. From that, I then entered Flock, and I asked for the description of that vehicle. I think it was maybe white or red, I don't know. Anyway, the color, I forgot what color it was. Into the system that was nearby that location. And it showed me every image of a red car, a red sedan vehicle. From that, I wrote down the tag number. I then ran that tag number to see if we had anybody local that was in the system there that matched that description. And then we went to every vehicle that was registered in Jasper County to that make and model of that vehicle, because the camera captured that make and model. We went to every residence until we matched up the plate that showed the suspect was in our city, who didn't live here, was in our city in proximity to that crime. We went and actually physically observed that vehicle and found damage that was consistent with the accident. And of course, upon interviews, we were able to make an arrest.
Okay, that's an instance where there was actual. Okay, so I don't know how many pictures this thing takes a day. It's got to be a bunch.
yes.
So who determines? I mean,
No one views them on a regular basis unless they have need to view them.
what, is there an alarm or is there a
So
an
if
alert?
let's say that your car was stolen, you would give me your tag number. I would enter that tag number into our flock system. And if your tag is seen by a flock camera anywhere in the United States, it'll alert that officer, that agency, hey, you have a flock alert.
Yeah.
They then sign on and they're able to see a stolen vehicle was at that location at this time. And then that gives investigators an idea of where this stolen car may be or where this suspect who fled the scene of a shooting may be. Now, granted, we're gonna be behind times, but it is a lead for us to investigate. If somebody shoots somebody here and flees to Arkansas and that tag is popped in Arkansas, we know our suspect is probably in Arkansas, or at least there's people there that we wanna talk to.
Janet?
My concerns came from just a search on how many lawsuits there are in the nation with the system right now. Just today, one was settled temporarily in Norfolk, Virginia, that the court upheld that it was not illegal surveillance, but already it's gone to appeals. There's lawsuits with this system all over the country, and if we can make a decision to avoid that at this time until this system gets worked out better, that's what I'm standing on.
Chief Dottinger, you mentioned in relation to the kind of your procedure, your safeguards, the audits. Just out of curiosity, is there any schedule to that or thought of frequency of those?
I'm in the middle of writing that policy. We haven't determined on when. There's a couple of approaches I want to take on this. One is we can say we can do it every day, and I don't want to give false promises. Other agencies do it. Some do it monthly, some do it quarterly. I do think that's appropriate. I also do think that if we have reasonable suspicion or suspicion somebody might be abusing this, maybe a complaint comes in, that the audit takes place at that moment. I think those are the safeguards that we can put in. Again, I'm going to be upfront with all of our officers. This will be audited, and just like any other policy violation, they know that if what they are doing is wrong and they get caught, there's consequences for those decisions. Mistakes are one thing, and doing something wrong on purpose is another, in my opinion.
I'm still a little confused. I'm a little confused. Every officer can access all the license plates?
The officers that we allowed to have access to the platform.
Not every officer has access.
No, not currently, no.
Okay, so, but at that point, I mean, the ones that do have access, they can look at every license plate that's been taken for however long. How often would they view the plates? I mean, how would they determine that plate? It seems to me like it's gotta be an instantaneous thing. And if it takes a picture of a plate and that person is a criminal, then somebody's not gonna look at the plate for a day or 2 days or whatever, the person's already gone. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I don't understand the timing.
Well, I'll give an example, and this is just theoretical. If you are sitting at an intersection and somebody hits you with their vehicle and flees the scene, you usually have a vehicle description. It's a brown truck with a gas tank in the back of it, just as an example. I can put in brown truck gas tank and it will hit those flock cameras. And just through, reasonable deduction, if a brown truck with a gas tank is seen going through a flock camera here in town at approximately right after they hit your vehicle, I now have a plate number and I now have a suspect that I can go after for the victim that just got hit.
Okay. All right.
I think that kind of just answered what I was gonna say, that part of the discussion we had during our meeting was that there was gonna be limited individuals that had access to the system, so it's not available just to everyone within the city.
The system is available to everybody nationwide who plugs in their number. No matter how much we have controls, which I'm absolutely sure our guidelines will be great, policies in other agencies may not be, and they have access to the same information.
They could have access. I don't disagree with you, Jana. I do think after we spoke on
Yes.
the phone today, I took a little bit deeper dive into the language. Flock does allow the option to not allow other agencies or some agencies to look. There are some agencies that require that agency to send over a formal request to look at theirs, and then they can open up for that agency. Looking at places like Columbia, Joplin, Springfield, and some other agencies like that, they only allow the agencies within their area to view those. I noticed, I mean, Columbia is a very, very large city, and they've got hundreds of cameras. But you know, they have a list of probably 50 agencies in their surrounding agency or their surrounding area that they look for. That doesn't mean that that somebody can't reach out to them and say, hey, we think our suspect may be in your town. Can we have access? So I do think there are restrictions that we could put on that. The problem that I found is on that grant, it says you would be, that we are mandated, or not say mandated, we are required to share that information. Now, to me, I can read that a couple of ways. Does that mean that I open it up to everybody, or does that mean that I can share it to the people that I want to share it with, but I will share it upon request, things like that. So I think there are some safeguards put in place. Flock is obviously aware of the push. I mean, this DFLOC, the United States, has been around for a long time now. And you talk about lawsuits, and I am aware of several of the lawsuits that are happening. I don't know one yet that has shut down a flock camera in the United States, and we're talking about places that have a lot of, thousands of cameras. So it is a possibility, absolutely, I agree with you. However, I think that the reward that this gives and the tool that this gives to the safety of our citizens, the quick apprehension of what should be potentially violent individuals, and I can go through a list of those in Carthage, just so I've been here, that this would be a great assistance to catch people a lot quicker that could potentially save further lives.
My problem is it's collecting data from everybody, not just the criminals. So it's a very generalized surveillance system, and there's so much opportunity for misuse, and there has been. I just hate to open our city up to that litigation.
Just to piggyback a little bit on that, I mean, technically, chief could go to a bank and ask for their cameras, if we're looking for somebody. So that process is still out there. It's not necessarily through Flock, but when you're in public, there's limited expectations on privacy, right? Already as it is, so.
It's the continued surveillance.
Similar to a bank, right?
Any other discussion?
Is this, I assume this is one of those deals where there's a deadline and tonight's the decision time?
Well, yes, with Flock there is, yes.
And we don't have your guidelines yet, your policy yet.
Well, the decision to accept the grant is really step 2 in this process. We've already told Flock that we are interested, and that if we get the funding, that we want to purchase their cameras. Step 2 is accepted the grant, which is the funding. Step 3 will be the implementation of the cameras, and I suspect that'll take 3 to 4 months for that to even start. It's kind of like a snail's pace when you talk about government work. This is in conjunction with MoDOT and everything else to put those cameras up. Our policy, I have a policy sitting on my desk. It's a draft. I want to make sure that I don't put something out there quickly just to satisfy everybody that we have a policy. I can assure you that we do have a policy, and I want to make sure that the policy that we put out is very thorough, accurate, and everything that we want in it, not just as a police department, but as a city, that can at least help assure some of the concerns that we have.
So how many cameras will you have in?
2. Well,
just 2.
The city will have 2. There is another one in the city that's not ours.
Okay.
So that we.
There'll be 3 total.
Yes, sir.
And who decides where you're going to stick them?
We really just did a collaborative effort amongst command staff and officers, and really try to be preemptive on what we think entrance to our city, criminal entrance into our city, and exits are. Typically high traffic areas, and places of our major entry points into the city is what our ultimate goal is.
Chief, we talked last night, Public Safety Committee, we don't, the Public Safety Committee or this council, neither one approve your policies or procedures for your department, but you did express last night that you would be willing to share that policy once it's finalized with the council so that everyone's aware of what your policy is?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is not going to be a policy that we're trying to hide any kind of investigation. So I have no problems with that.
I just want to say that I really appreciate the open conversation that I had with Chief today. And it was give and take and trying to understand each side of it. So there's mutual respect there in this.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I did.
Any other discussion?
Sorry. I would just note, so this one's been, just for the record, this one's been a teeter-totter for me because I'm a very ardent supporter of law enforcement, but I also very much hear some of the concerns Jana laid out. Going into tonight, my main question surrounded almost all of what you answered, kind of the safeguards, the protocol, the policy, Chief Deininger drafting, and ultimately I just see this as the classic balance of interest, law enforcement and safety versus citizen privacy. So given the fact, and I was going to ask the same question you asked, Beth, because I would love to see a draft policy prior to voting, if possible. Now, granted, if that's not possible, under the circumstances, after all we've talked about, that it assumes that it's predicated on trust, right? Everything's predicated on trust with law enforcement and safety. But if I had to vote tonight, given the circumstances of this discussion, I would favor the balance of safety and law enforcement. That said, I would love to see that policy, but under our timeline, I understand.
Any other discussion? There's a motion and a second on the table to approve the resolution. Pending no further discussion, cast your vote.
It failed.
Resolution is not adopted. All right, next resolution.
Sorry, you just had to write this. Resolution 2111, a resolution approving the declaration of surplus to the city's needs and authorizing the disposition of certain police department vehicles.
Alan.
I move we adopt Resolution 2111.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2111. Any discussion? Alan.
So all these vehicles that we're surplusing tonight, Chief has a program with the company that does the upfitting of our current vehicles, and we will trade these vehicles into that company, and they will give us credit when we go next time to get more vehicles upfitted, and that will be for all of the vehicles except for the taxi. So, Chief, you have anything else you want to add to that?
We've done this in the past. It worked out very well. Ultimately, even when we have a vehicle upfitted, things break, especially in the cold, we have things fall off. All that costs money. We have to go back to the same outfitter. So the credit has been great for our budget because we might have a $300 fix that we can go over and it just comes off that budget. It worked out very well in the past. He's a reputable company that's growing in our area. These vehicles that if you saw the list of the vehicles on there, they're very high mileage and some of them require several $1,000s to even get fixed. So.
Any other discussion? See none, cast your vote. Resolution is adopted. All right, we'll now move on to closing comments. I'll begin, and I would just say, Jimmy, thanks again for attending tonight. A couple things for your to-do list that has been expressed to me as I've walked around the square is the chimes and the clock, all of them on the same time, and it'd be great to have the bells ringing. So, and I'm sure that's probably in your purview. All right, now we'll move on with Jack. Start with your closing comments.
I think a normal citizen is probably pretty criminal-free. And my comment would be, if you haven't committed any crimes, you shouldn't even be worried about this system. I mean, if you think about it, if you go down the turnpike, they take a picture of your license plate. Has anybody ever asked what they do with those pictures? Are they tied into the, you know, to police? I mean, to some system? You know, you don't know. But on the other hand, I mean, if you're an upright citizen and you don't commit any crimes, I mean, what the hell difference does it make? You know, I mean, to me, you can take a picture of my license plate all you want.
Thank you. Beth?
I don't have anything to say this evening. Thank you.
Alan?
So I guess I will express my disappointment for the failure of Resolution 2110. You know, when we send our officers out to investigate and to fight crime, giving them the tools to help in that job is, I feel, very important. Like Jack says, every day, I mean, we live in a world now where everybody has a cell phone and you can get your picture taken just about anywhere at any time, and that picture's probably going to be on the web and tagged with something. So I am disappointed that this Resolution 2110 failed. I hope that this won't have an effect on the other grants that we apply for from the Blue Shield program. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Janet?
I also want to give our law enforcement every tool that they can use to help keep our city safe. It's just this tool has so many questions about it at this point, and it's not about our officers, it's not about our policy, it's the general use of this nationally. And it has nothing to do with our city. So that's the reason that I voted no.
Alan?
You know, I have a question for Mr. Gold. Could we reconsider this resolution and table it until Chief has a chance to complete his policy and then bring that policy to council?
I believe
Procedurally-
someone that voted no would have to make that recommendation to bring it back.
I mean, you've already shot it down.
Yes, someone who voted no could make a motion for reconsideration.
Would it be someone who voted no or someone who?
It would be someone that
Someone.
voted no.
Okay, because I'm just, I mean, it was 5-2-1. So, okay.
Chad, the timing of this thing, is this or we're in suspense for the application for the grant?
Correct.
Okay, and when does that suspense?
Do you know when, it's gonna be on the date?
So it may be moot is what I'm saying, Alan, if the grant money's being used someplace else and
I
we
know that
miss
we have
this
6
grant
months
round.
to spend the money once we get it. I do know that. But as far as sending in the paperwork to get the after you've received the grant, I'm not sure.
Okay, we can run that down.
Can I say something? Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I'm not trying to obstruct your work or the efforts here, but I just, seeing it and not really having had any of the pros and cons in front of me, I don't feel like I can fairly give a vote, yes or no. And so rather than do that, I abstained. It is not, it's about making sure, because I don't like feeling like I've got, a gun to my head, and I know you're not doing that. But I didn't realize that until we had this discussion. And yes, I could have looked further, and I certainly will do more due diligence in the future because I don't want to hamstring things. But I also know that we live in a very set of uncertain times, and I think I'm trying to look out for everybody. But I do want to see that you have what you need to do your job, and I respect that. So I don't know if there's any ins or outs on this or not, but I would certainly like to, at least see the policy so that I know that we've done the best that we can. And I appreciate your willingness to share it.
Okay, come back, Ron. Your closing comment.
Yeah, I voted no. My concern, and I thank Jan for the input that she gave tonight, privacy, that citizens all over the United States are slowly losing. I go up and down Garrison, Grand. I could be getting my license plate pictured several dozen times. I don't know all your police officers. You're asking me to trust 100% that every one of them is going to abide when we've already had incidents in Joplin that's having problems. I am no way. And second, how much has the public been told about all this? We don't have anybody here tonight. Have you made the public concerned about what you're wanting to do there? They ought to have a right to that information before we go telling them they're going to be monitored 24/7 driving up Grand, Garrison, Maine, wherever you decide to put them. And that's a big concern to me. And that's the reason I said no, and I will continue to say no. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Derek.
I have nothing further tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Juan.
Just thanks for the really good discussion. I appreciate the research you did. That's very good. I think it something that we're all very passionate about. It's easier to swallow when it doesn't go through when there is research and people that are just as passionate. So thank you for all the work you did. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. I'm just gonna leave a few of my thoughts is that we can't let fear stop us from doing something, right? It's on us to create the policies, the processes that make the tools and the stuff that we have work, right? And without that trust, then we can lose even more, right? So that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you. Right.
I won't beat a dead horse either, but I echo Alan. I am very disappointed in this vote. I don't think it's fully understood. I don't know that I fully understand it. I'm not gonna say that I do, but they're not gonna monitor any. All it did was take a picture and store it. If you don't have a specific reason to access that, you're not gonna ever know it. So anyway, I didn't see any reason to turn it down, and I'm all for doing whatever I can to help eliminate crime and help the law enforcement. So that being said, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, Jan.
We are adjourned.